Hello, my name is Kellyanne Sivers and I'm the Acting Manager of Policy Research and Development at Carers New South Wales. Today we are filming the Supporting Carers in Your Workforce Showcase series, and I have with me Rohan Greenland from MS Australia. Rohan, it'd be great if you could introduce yourself and your role and tell us a little bit about your organisation and where you're based.
Sure. I'm the CEO at MS Australia and I've been here for almost 5.5 years. I'm based in Canberra, but we have around 20 staff and we're quite well dispersed. We've got a team in Sydney, some based in Canberra and some in Melbourne. We've got 2 in Tasmania and 1 in Queensland. So we're quite a dispersed workforce. MS Australia, of course, is a peak body representing, it's a patient focused organisation, and we do 3 key things. We really do research. In addition to that, we provide advocacy services for the MS community, and we advocate on behalf of the 37,700 people with MS in Australia, and we also do education and awareness. So there are 3 main pillars.
How would you usually identify employees who have caring responsibilities?
One way of identifying carers in the workplace is actually utilising our existing document system within our induction and policy framework and our working from home checklist, which most organisations have these days, particularly under work health and safety policies. So these documents track our psychosocial and physical work environments and the needs of all staff. And it forms a key part of any induction process and is regularly and periodically updated. But this also prompts our team leaders to talk to new and existing employees about their carer needs and responsibilities and how we can support them best in the workplace. So these changes that we've made in order to achieve accreditation have not been onerous. They've been relatively small changes, adding a few additional fields here and there, but it makes a great springboard for real conversations with staff.
Great. Yeah, and I assume the accreditation you're talking about is the Carers and Employers program, which you achieved level 1 accreditation late last year. Which is a great way of recognising your carer inclusive practices within your workplace, and it was a fabulous achievement. We'd like to see more people get on board, particularly those in similar organisations.
Yeah, we also sort of, in addition to that sort of direct process, we have an indirect process as well, and we ask individual team leaders, team members to self-identify and make a point of talking openly about caring responsibilities. And over a quarter of our staff identifies carers in the workplace, applying the definition from the Carers Recognition Act.
Experience, what benefits have you seen, both from your staff and from your organisation, when carers are supported at work, like in regards to retention and morale or culture?
Culture is so important, and we have a strategic intent for supporting carers. When we developed our current strategic plan, our board was really heavily engaged and put a big emphasis on the need for a carer strategy. And this carer strategy included a goal to become an accredited carers workplace. And so we actually have a carer strategy, and that's all our workforce support mechanisms evolve from that strategy. Awareness is first and foremost in our strategy, and it allows both employees to self-identify and team members to acknowledge and support carers in the workplace. We really do try and work closely with Carers Australia as well, and as part of our advocacy policy, we liaise with them regularly and support advocacy objectives that Carers Australia has as well. So we do it in our externally facing work as well as our internal work. Yeah.
Great. What barriers did you face in implementing these supports, and how did you overcome them?
Well, I guess the hardest thing for us was really workload management. And caring is often episodic in nature, and we have a relatively small staff, and so it's really important that everyone in the team work together on a specific task and role, so that when someone requires additional support, including maybe there's a workload reduction or changes in duties, we can be flexible enough to accommodate that. So the importance of close teamwork is key, and understanding. And I think, if I can give an example of if a staff member in our research team who has project responsibility for a research platform, and if they require additional support, it's sometimes hard for other team members to pick things up. But we try and be very flexible in our approach so that we can do that. And I think one of the key things for us is we really have always put a very big emphasis on flexible workplaces. A lot of workplaces have really, since COVID, required people to come back into the office. We do that to only a limited extent. So we do it to an extent where we do make sure that the team bonds together, knows each other, and works well together. But I think flexibility in the workplace is so important. We have a number of, quite a high percentage of staff who are part-time with young children. And as I say, more than a quarter also have carer responsibilities. And so having a flexible workplace which enables, wherever possible, work from home and flexible arrangements, it just makes life so much easier for people participating in our workforce. And we really find fantastic benefits of that. If people are happy with their arrangements and feel they're in a work situation that has the flexibility when they need it, and has support that can swing in behind them when they need it. I think it builds from understanding, and also the amount of importance we place on carer responsibilities. It's really important. People living with MS, we talk about our responsibilities and obligations to serve the MS community. And it's not just people with MS, it's their carers, families and friends, because we recognise it's often beyond just family relationships, and people can care in all sorts of different ways.
Right. Yeah.
And so I think it's putting the importance on that, and really having a deep, organisational commitment to it and understanding of it is critical for getting the best possible outcomes.
Yeah, and it's actually quite impressive that such a small organisation can create such a flexible workplace where people can support each other at work to pick up extra responsibilities when the need arises and that sort of thing, which allows for that, I guess, that positive workplace culture, which then, I guess, then relates back to increased retention, positive morale, all of those sorts of things. So it's really impressive to hear an organisation of 20 can do it. And if you guys can do it, then I'm sure many more could as well. I think we've probably spoken about this, but your carers, how do you know whether your carer support initiatives are working? Do you measure retention and wellbeing, organisational outcomes?
Well, we do. We really put a high importance on feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And when we do performance reviews, that's a critical part of it. I think when you put emphasis on flexibility to the fullest extent possible, sometimes when you've got big events happening, and it's the ability to first of all, understand when there's a carer responsibility involved, and having the flexibility to have a team that can then seamlessly move around any crisis management situations, if you like. And so even when we're at our busiest, having a team that understands and can backfill and support, we find that works really well. And there are all sorts of situations whereby you've got a team member who suddenly is unavailable for reasons of their carer responsibilities. We can be flexible enough and have people sufficiently well trained that they can swing in behind them and take on those responsibilities and make sure the work we need to get done gets done. but also
Yeah.
that the person involved doesn't have any terrible sense of guilt about, oh my God, I've let the team down. No, you haven't. No,
So
you haven't.
important. Yeah. So it's a
Exactly.
real team, it's real teamwork and really open communication across the organization that, raises that awareness of carers, but also, is about sort of joining together to support that person as a carer. Makes a huge difference from what you're saying.
Absolutely, and I think it's a cultural thing too, and it comes from right from the top, from our board all
Absolutely.
the way
Yeah.
down. Because if you don't have that, if you don't have your leaders and your board, living and breathing this, then I don't think you can really fulfil your obligations in a fulsome way. So I really think that because we have so many people living with MS on our board and a significant number on our staff, also people with outside of the MS space with carer responsibilities. So it's and it's embedded, I guess.
In everything you do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So finally, what advice would you give other employers who want to better attract and support carers in their workforce?
Well, I think every organisation should do it, and it's really important to follow. Well, I think have board sign off that you've got a commitment. We've got a carer strategy, but then how do you make sure that flows throughout the organisation? That carers and caring is valued. We put a high priority on it. We want to live and breathe it. And honestly, the process of accreditation is so useful too. It means we can cross-check all we do, make sure that our documentation and processes reflect that. But again, it's a cultural thing. I think we know that people living with MS, the community we serve, desperately depends on carers and also for people living with MS in the workplace. They really thrive when they have understanding and support for themselves in the workplace, and to reflect those principles that we advocate to employers about how to make sure they've got flexible workplaces for people living with MS. And we need to live and breathe that, not just tell people what they should do, but do it ourselves. So we've got to, we feel that we have to embody that. And you can always improve too. It's one thing to say we've got accreditation and a carer strategy and we put an emphasis on it, but it's I think it's worthwhile periodically checking in and seeing what you're doing, benchmarking that, and getting good feedback from all staff. And once a year, I sit down with every member of our team, just very informally. And one of the things I really want to find out is, are we supporting you for any caring responsibilities you may have? Are you finding the flexibility that we offer useful to you, and do you value it, and could we improve it? And those conversations are really valuable in helping us to make sure that we, to the fullest extent possible, can have a workplace that values, supports caring and carers. And I think my advice would be embed it in your culture, live and breathe it, because
you get back what you put in, don't you?
You get back and more. We've got to work. I earnestly believe that people who work at MS Australia, really value the workplace and the environment that we provide, because we not only flexible, but we have empathy and understanding. And we swing in to support people where we need to. And I know that a lot of organisations will sometimes find it tricky to do that because of the nature of the services they provide. But I think this, in the main, we get so much more back in terms of productivity than we do in the effort we put into developing and supporting a workplace that is very carer-centric.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's all. All my questions. Thank you so much for being so open and talking with us today. I think those insights that you've provided are really impactful for other organisations to hear. I think we all know that we have an aging workforce. We have or an aging population, sorry, and which means that we will all be carers at some point in our lifetime, whether we are now or whether we will be caring for someone in the future. And trying to juggle work and care can be very tricky. But when you do support carers in the workplace, you bring so much more value to your organisation. And I really thank you for sharing that with us today, Rohan.